We are today going to hear from a few of our folks on who they are. We are going to go into a work session so that groups can have some time to work on their action statements. We may end early tonight. If groups want to keep going, that's fine, but this is going to be a less formal meeting because it is summer. There's a number of people who are out, but nonetheless, it is really great to be with everybody. And he dropped it. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and unless Director Edwards, unless I missed anything, I'm going to pass it right off to Anne.
All right. Well, I have put the agenda in the chat, but our question for tonight is we are just going to be sharing in small groups. What is one way that we manage stress in our own lives? Hopefully we're sharing a productive way that we manage stress in our own lives. I wanted groups to be slightly bigger than pairs, but not fully sized groups. So there's not necessarily staff for every group. So if someone in your group could just take the lead, and there's only 4 or 5 people in each group, but we are going to answer that question for the next 5 minutes or so, because there's really not more than 5 people per group. And then we'll regroup here at about 5:37. So I'm going to go ahead and open all the rooms. All right, so this, just so you're all aware, is the room that is streaming out to the World Wide Web for everyone to see. So I will go ahead and go first. My name is Ann Coy. My pronouns are she, hers. I'm the Healing City Baltimore coordinator. And one way that I manage stress is I really try to set aside time to make it outside. And in the middle of the day, I go for a walk at lunch, and I really try and hold that time to make sure that even if it's just 15 minutes, that I'm able to get out and reset kind of midway through my day. And I am just going to go down the list of people. William, could you go next?
Yes. Hello, everybody. So William Kellerbrew, Director for the Office of Youth and Trauma Services at the Baltimore City Health Department. And and you went straight to me first. First of all, I think that's a great way to stop in the middle of the day and take that walk. And it just reminds me that I'm losing time on getting outside because it's getting dark. But I take some breaths. I think just taking some breaths and just stepping away from the computer gives me a chance to manage because, just so many crises happening all day long sometimes. And it's just trying to manage that, getting a cup of coffee, just moving away from the screen in that space just kind of gets me. And then I do know how to breathe in terms of I've been trained to breathe with meditation. And also I will take that breath in the middle of the day. But that's kind of what I do. That's one thing that I do. Or maybe call my grandmother sometimes. My grandmother grounds me a bit, Yeah,
that's wonderful. Thank you, William. Great. Teresa, can I go to you next?
Hey, everyone. Teresa Bruce, she, her, hers. One way that I release stress is through journaling. I really enjoy journaling a lot. And also getting a planner and really decorating it. Oh my God.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Mark.
Hello, everybody. Mark Drews, he, him, his. As you can see my still photo, I try to remind myself what it's like to sit on the beach. And like William said, just take those deep breaths, but then also visualize the water rushing up on the beach and hearing that ocean and smelling the air. And I try to do that periodically throughout the day. And it helps ease me into whatever I need to do next. So that's one thing that I do.
Awesome. Thank you for that suggestion. And I think one of the things about this is it's also creating ideas for other people. So thank you, Mark, for that idea for me. Zeke, I'm not sure if you had to step away with Elias.
I'm still here. So Zeke Cohen, he, him, his pronouns. One, we have discovered a new show called Bluey that my daughter really likes, and that her mom and I also really like. It's Australian and it's very cute, and it's about a little family of dogs, and it is way better than either Baby Shark or Peppa Pig. So sometimes, no lie, when I'm feeling a little stressed out, I'll throw on some Bluey and just get down with that.
Awesome. And Debbie, can I go to you next? We're sharing our name, our pronouns, and one thing we do to help alleviate stress.
I'm Debbie, and I'm she, her, hers. And one thing I do to alleviate stress, I read a novel. God, that sounds so boring.
Great.
I like turn my brain off or I watch TV. Just stop thinking.
Love it. All right, Corey, we're going to come to you next. I'm going to close out the room so people may start to re-enter this space, but we're sharing one way that we relieve stress. Oh, we can't hear you, Corey. You're on mute.
Apologize. Just got in from the gym. One way I relieve stress is lifting weights. So that's how I relieve stress.
Short, sweet, and to the point. I love it. That's great. Okay. Well, thanks all for sharing. It's fun to gather ideas from other people. And Debbie, I'm going to chat you for some of your novel recommendations. I'm always looking for a good book to really get sucked into. So. All right.
Miss Edwards, well, I got you on. I want to talk to you because I got like an outstanding idea that I want to do for youth in Baltimore, and it's awesome. So I definitely want to go and reach out to you.
Please do. Looking forward to it, Corey. Oh, he's talking. I can't hear him.
Okay, I think we're all back. So Zeke, you want me to pass it back to you for introductions of our task force members?
Yes. So we today are going to hear from three great folks. And again, it's good to be with everybody. Welcome back. We are going to start today with Young Elder.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Young Elder, and I'm gonna be honest with y'all. When I first heard that it was my turn to introduce myself, I was kind of nervous because, like, as I was listening to all the other introductions, I was just hearing, all of the work that you guys did, and I'm like, dang, like, they went to school, they did this, they did that, and I'm like, I'm just, fresh out of high school in the college, so I wasn't really sure what to say, but I'm gonna just tell you guys about myself and try to just let it be free flowing. So like I said, my name's Young Elder. I'm 19 years old. I've lived in Baltimore my entire life. I live in Ashburn and Park Heights, so right in that area. When I was younger, my mother, she sent me to private schools, and I'm not gonna lie, my experience with school really affected how I see the world, because when I was first in school, I went to a Catholic school, and I was really like one of the few Black kids there. So it wasn't really like really much of my culture. It was just me being at the school. And then after that, my mom had gotten into an accident. And so I had moved to a public school that was near my house. And at that school, like, they didn't really, like, it seemed like they didn't really care about like this kids being successful. And I was only in the third grade, and I could kind of tell that they didn't really care. They just wanted to, give us the information and let it be like that, and just let the kids kind of do whatever they wanted to. So that was a complete different shift from when I used to go to school. But then when I got to high school, I went to Cristo Rey, which is a private school as well. But I chose this high school because one, it was a private school, but it wasn't just an all white private school. It was diverse. It has Black, Latino, all different races. So it was really small as well. So I got that community sense and that family sense that, you know, we all got to get through it together. And at that school, I kind of learned, okay, you know, Black people are able to be successful, you know, and it was hard for me because it was hard for me to acknowledge that, because only time I saw Black people was being successful was when I was at an all white Catholic school. So that really molded how I look at the world. But then unfortunately, I wasn't able to graduate from Cristo Rey because I had hit my head and I was just having some complications with learning. So I didn't graduate there. I got transferred to Forest Park. So once I got transferred to Forest Park, it was my zone school. And that's when everything changed, when I went to Forest Park. None of the kids, like, they didn't do the things I did. Like, they would smoke, they would cuss. Like, not saying I didn't cuss or anything. I'm just saying, like, I just saw them as bad kids. And I was just like, I do not belong here. And it's crazy because it changed my perspective, because once I actually got to know the people who were there and actually make friends, I'm like, these kids not bad. They just have different stories and different experiences that cause them to do different things that sometimes aren't even bad. They just are deemed as bad because they're different. And sometimes people don't take time to listen to somebody's story and understand why they do things or why they choose not to do things. And it really opened my eyes. You know, it was kids in my class who had been in jail. It's kids in my class who had kids. And it was just kids in my class who were from different backgrounds that I had no idea of. And if I had never gone to Forest Park, I would have always had that perspective of, they just bad kids. They just bad kids. They don't listen for no reason. And in reality, it was deeper than that. You know, at the school, they would give kids, you know, detention if they didn't have uniform. But in reality, like, they didn't have a washer and dryer at home. So just being able to dig deep, that really opened my eyes. And when I was at Forest Park, as where I met Miss Joni. And Miss Joni runs an organization called Heart Smiles. And I met her. As soon as I met her, she welcomed me. She invited me to her program, her entrepreneurship program, which was, I believe, 10 days. Yeah, it was 10 days, 2 weeks, basically. And we worked, and she taught us about entrepreneurship. She taught us about what it means to own your own business. And at the time, I didn't have my own business, but I did make music. And she taught me, your music is your business. You know, your music is your brand. This is how you market yourself. So once she gave me that confidence and gave me the tools, then I was able to actually put out songs and put out records about my life and my experience. And sometimes I was even able to tell stories about other people's experiences that I didn't go through myself, but I was able to tell their story for them. And that was just incredible that I was able to gain those skills just for that little bit of time that I worked with Miss Joni. And I've been working with Heart Smiles for about, I think maybe 3 or 4 years now, since I was a junior in high school. And it really changed my life. I just want to tell everybody about Heart Smiles all the time, because it taught me how to be a leader. And that sounds so broad, but just working with Heart Smiles taught me so many things that, like, taught me the hard way, apologizing even when you feel like you're not wrong. Like, that was the one that really got me. Like, this is that person's fault. I'm not apologizing. But then you had to, like, actually break down things. And it just taught me so many lessons. You know, when you're a leader, you got to do things that you don't want to do. And, like, even being 100% honest with you guys, like, I was having a really bad day. I had a really bad week, actually. But I told Miss Ann I'm coming on here, and stuff kept happening when I physically wasn't able to get on here. And even though I wasn't feeling well, I was like, I'm gonna get on here. I'm gonna tell y'all about myself, because that's my word. And Miss Joni just told me, you know, your word is your bond. And I feel like if we able to implement that to more people, then they'll be able to understand, you know, and understand what leadership is. And just being a leader is cool, you know. And sometimes it can be hard because people will look at me, and sometimes they'll say, oh, you know, I appreciate what you do and I appreciate your work, but I want them to understand, like, don't just say that because, I'm the only youth in the room. We got to pull other youth in when we want them to, feel embraced. And we want them to feel that sense of power, to be able to sit here and just talk to you guys and just have a regular conversation, knowing like the incredible work that you guys have done. And I can just sit and have a regular conversation with you. It means a lot. So I think that's about it. I also just wanted to say, like, I'm the type of person, like, I really care about people. I really care about Baltimore, and I really care about the people who live in Baltimore and beyond Baltimore as well. But I've seen how trauma has affected the city of Baltimore and just people in general. And I've seen how it can really destroy people's lives and it can really take people down horrible tolls. But I also do know that I've suffered from trauma too. So it's not really about not experiencing trauma. It's about, what can we do to help pull you out of that? Miss Joni is who helped me. And now I have this platform and I'm able to, say what I have to say and speak for the youth. So thank you guys so much for having me. And if you got any questions, just let me know.
All right, let's give a big virtual round of sound for the amazing young elder. Elder, thank you as always. And if you have not seen young elder perform spoken word or hip hop, you absolutely should. She's amazing. And so again, glad to have you with us, and thanks for all that you do and for being here tonight. All right. Next up is Colby Sangri.
Hey y'all, and thank you so much, young elder. It's such an honor to be on this task force with you, and thank you for sharing your story. I have a PowerPoint that I want to share. All right, do you see what I'm seeing? Okay, great. So I wanted to share an introduction with y'all that answers the questions kind of, what is my story and what has shaped my values? So my name's Colby. I use they, them pronouns, as y'all know. In thinking about what has shaped my values, I have to start with my family. I am so lucky to call these incredible humans my family. This is not everybody, but like, depending on how you count, I have a pretty traditional, non-traditional family structure. So depending on how you count, I have up to 7 siblings, up to 6 parents, and more like aunt, uncle, grandparent figures than I can count. Our family culture is centered around food and games and nature. And because of how my family was structured, I grew up with this concept of chosen family. But growing up queer and trans and disabled, like in those communities, we are often each other's main source of safety and love and solidarity and care. And so it's just an honor and a privilege to be part of this kind of family. These are some of the words that I identify with and as. I grew up in Baltimore. I grew up with a lot of privilege, and I've had my fair share of ACEs and family dysfunction. I've struggled with mental health. I've survived trauma. I especially want to highlight these 2 bubbles in this darker purple color. First, like, I am a survivor. When I left home on my very first night at college, I experienced a sexual assault. I made sense of it in community with other survivors as we advocated for survivor rights, supported each other in healing, and through the secondary trauma of reporting, if that's what we chose to do. I'm also trained as an abortion doula, this other bubble. Most people don't know what an abortion doula is, but I practice creating a space of non-judgment and care in providing like emotional and informational support for people who are accessing abortion. In most states, loved ones and support people are not invited into a procedure room, but I believe nobody should have to be alone with that experience of abortion nor the stigma that surrounds it. I'm really passionate about health and wellness. If we can access wellness, it's often because we are safe and loved, our basic needs are met, our neighborhoods are resourced, and we are powerful agents in our own lives. And that kind of wellness, like both individual and community, depend on systems that both care for us and that we help to shape. So one reason I applied for this task force is because this work gives Baltimore an opportunity to address its own harm, systemic harm at the root. Wanted to share some words that I live by. Integrity is like one of my core values, and I welcome accountability to these words. We've got top left, Adrienne Marie Brown. She talks about being in right relationship with the earth and with each other. And as a white person, what that means is like part of these words, like put your lifetime in service of undoing the work of your ancestors, earning the respect of future generations, and being willing to be transformed in the service of the work. Adrienne Marie Brown also talks about organizing and activism as a form of science fiction because we are imagining and shaping the worlds that have yet to exist. And I just love the creativity that is at the core of those words. But I do need to acknowledge that like my whiteness is rooted in a legacy of harm, and I have to engage in the ancestral and personal work to address it. Top right, we've got Bayard Rustin, Speak Truth to Power. I found a home within Quakerism in my teens. Bayard Rustin did not get the spotlight that Martin Luther King Jr. did because he was gay, but he was central to the civil rights movement, and he was Quaker. And while I don't believe that nonviolent resistance is the right or only strategy in change making, but I do believe that it had a big impact in the civil rights movement. And Quakerism kind of encouraged me, raised me to appreciate people's inherent value and to question power, and generally to take a stand for what is right and true. So bottom left, we've got Mariam Kaba, Hope is a Discipline. I used to think that hope was kind of like hokey, like a greeting card emotion. But I've come to accept that I am an optimist, and that hope is really hard. Like we have to work hard to hold on to hope alongside of our grief alongside of our pain and our rage. Because whatever we're doing now, we have to be able to do it a month from now, a year from now, a lifetime from now. And hope is something that helps me to sustain and to like believe in the futures that we deserve. Bottom right, I was raised Jewish and anti-Zionist, so I wanted to share these words from Jewish scripture. I love this mindset. You're not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to abandon it. Just acknowledging that what we are fighting for is bigger than us and bigger than anything we could possibly undo ourselves. And that's not a reason to be complacent or give up. It's a reason to like keep fighting. I wanted to share this graphic. I think it's really powerful for individuals. It shows the power that healing can have on future generations. And I think that our task force and the city has a role to play in healing future generations as well. I think that our work is super vital because of what it can mean, not just for who lives in the city now, but who will ever live in the city. And I'm really honored to be a part of this work. I have one more slide. It doesn't come with any words. I hope that this gives a little insight into my story. And I wanted to share some ways that I cultivate joy and community in my life. I think all of these pictures are also answers to the round the horn question that we had today about how we manage stress. But yeah, art, plants, play, food, gardening. Yeah, anyways, that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. Please give a huge round of applause virtually to Colby. Appreciate you. And share the sentiment, especially around hope and also tikkun olam and food. Very, very Jewish. Love you. Awesome. Well, we have one more sharer for this evening. Monica Garo Vazquez, you are up next.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for giving me a space to talk a little bit more about me. I have a short. I like talking, so I have a short PowerPoint to make sure that I'm on track with time. But I'm sure Anna's going to stop me. Can you all see the slide on the screen? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Well, my name is Monica and my last name is Guerrero Vazquez, and I highlight that because people tend to call me just Vazquez, and then you forget my dad's last name. Let me see. Yeah. So that's me and my siblings. Thanks to the COVID vaccines and the opening of the borders again, I was able to visit them recently, and my mom has this picture as a treasure in our home. This was taken when my parents were living abroad in the beginning of our immigration journey. I am the mom of my two siblings in this picture. I'm originally from Ecuador, and my family had to leave our country. I'm from a small town in the Andean region. But the important piece of this picture is that this experience have shaped my life and who I am today and what I do today. When I was 11, I became the second mom of my siblings, and after that, with all the experiences that we had, that really changed what I wanted to do in my life. So I wanted to have this better life that my parents have worked really hard to get, and improve their lives and other people's lives. It was very hard to grow up immigrant. We grew up poor, and I didn't want other kids to go through the same experience, and particularly to see their parents go. So I didn't know how it would look like, but one of the things that I thought when I was a little girl is that if I go to college, if I go to the university, I will be independent and able to help others and my parents. And, you know, I had a lot of no's in my life, like all of us. And one that I always remember when I try to accomplish something and I think I will not be able to do it, I always think of this quote that I put here, that a woman like you don't do that. Women like you don't go to college. You should think of how to raise children instead. And I forgot to put, but this person told me, because that's what people like you do. And this was in high school. High school teacher told me that. But I'm stubborn, so I thought I want to go to college. My mom told me that that's gonna help me. And now I have 3 college degrees, and more recently, for the past 7 years, I've been doing more directly public health, but I started doing engineering. And the reason I did that is because I was very good in math and science, not necessarily because I knew what engineering was. But as I said, it was not an easy journey. And when I talk about that, my voice shakes and I get very nervous because I realized it has been hard, and you really don't know that until you face it. So recently I've been working a lot on healing, and just Colby gave that. I love that family tree that
But in a different way,
that they shared.
Back, front, or that, boo. My pussy and my crack. Hey, sorry. You want to use the milkshake song.
Can you
got-
hear me?
There's
Okay.
someone not muted that I'm trying to find, but I can't see. So if everyone can mute, I think we solved it.
Yeah. Okay. So in the past few years, I came to Baltimore. It has been my home since 2011. And here I really found myself and found home in knowing who I am and why I'm living and why I'm experiencing and feeling what I'm feeling. And I didn't know I was a Latina until I came here, and I didn't know I was going through the consequences of PTSD and trauma and anxiety and depression. And really that process has been, even though it has been hard, it's been a journey that is teaching me to get to know me better and more and make the most of what I know and what I can do for Baltimore. So this is the DH that I put in my title, that I really lived for since 2006. When I worked for the United Nations in Ecuador, I got the opportunity to go there. I love the idea of human development, or el desarrollo humano, where they talk about an approach that focuses on improving the lives of people, more than just talking about the economic process or economic growth. They talk about how to make people live to their fullest capacity. And human development is seen as giving people more freedom and opportunities to live lives they value. And that is something that my parents or even my siblings and I didn't have many years ago when we migrated. So I've been trying to find ways to do this for the communities I'm living in, support the individuals, particularly migrants and refugees. So today I'm an executive director of a center that promotes equity in health and opportunities called Centro Sol. This is just a summary of what we are looking for is equity for all Baltimore City residents. And to do that, we promote equity in health and opportunities for Latinos in collaboration with community organizations and public agencies. This is extremely important because through partnerships, through collaborations, is that we can accomplish more things. And that's not a secret to any of you here. We work in different areas: clinical innovations, education, research, policy and systems change, to really promote these culturally and linguistically appropriate processes for our communities. And the way that we accomplish this is to include community participation from the beginning of the design of our programs through promoting language appropriate programs. Because of the goals of this group, mental health has been one of the most important areas of work. We do other work, but particularly I wanted to highlight this because you will hear a lot something like, there's nothing for this community, there aren't resources. And that is true. There are many systemic barriers that prevent them from accessing healthcare and really any type of mental health care. So we are currently piloting an intervention to treat depression and a stigma called Fortalece tu Bienestar that you will see around on social media. And we also have support groups that are based on cognitive and behavioral therapy for adults and adolescents. This is just a way to start models that we can replicate in the city. And particularly important to me is the youth programming. We're trying to support youth not only on their professional, but also on their human development, as I mentioned earlier. And we have mentoring and tutoring programs throughout the school year and summer programming, because many of the youth that we work with are immigrants who don't have opportunities to get paid scholarships throughout this summer or the school year. So we have collaborated with YouthWorks for the past few years to work with us, and we hope YouthWorks becomes a stage for any youth who lives in the city to receive paid internships. More recently, with COVID response, we have been really, really busy collaborating, as I said, with different agencies and organizations and providing weekly food access workshops and information in Spanish, because it is very limited and very difficult to access culturally appropriate information. And we have been working in collaboration with the health department and Johns Hopkins for vaccine distribution and outreach. This is just a summary of the things that we do that really play a lot and are an extension of my entire life. But we need to do more. We understand that it's not enough. We would like to build a network to address mental health needs in the immigrant community, particularly Latinos, which is the fastest growing community in the city. My dream is to have a pool of bilingual and bicultural community health workers. We have to stop asking bachelor degrees for community health workers. Community health workers are, by definition, members of the community, and they have lived experiences that is extremely valuable for the work that we need to do in our communities. We need to have commitment from government agencies and philanthropy to support everyone in the city. And of course, I would like to increase and have collaborations with more groups like those who are represented here in the task force. I didn't want to steal more time. Thank you very much. And here's my contact information. I would love to hear from you. And if you have any questions, please let me know or put it in the chat. Thank you.
Bye.
Please give a huge, huge, huge virtual round of applause to the amazing Monica Guerrero Vazquez. And thank you for your presentation, for your vulnerability, for all the amazing work you're doing for Baltimore. And I just want to take a quick minute to just lift up how many amazing folks and just the diversity that we have on this task force. It is really, really, really an honor and a privilege just getting to be here with you all, from young elder to Monica to Colby. Just the really incredible diversity of people and stories and who we are, and getting to come together in this space is really something special. So again, want to just thank everybody for participating, and thank you, the three of you, for just the amazing presentations. I'm going to turn it back to Anne, and we are going to go right to doing some more work on these statements. Unless Tisha, do you want to jump in?
Absolutely. First of all, I just want to echo your sentiments, Councilman Cohen. This is an amazing task force, and it's just always a pleasure to get to know everyone really deeply, and just appreciate all of the honesty and vulnerability that folks always are willing to share in your presentation. So great job, everybody, today. We are nearing an important milestone in our process. The last time we were together, we presented our action statements to the entire task force, and we received feedback on those action statements. Now we are going to go into our committees and take that feedback and make kind of final revisions to the action statements. We want to make sure everybody's comfortable with their action statement, that you've had an opportunity to process all the feedback that you've received, because the next part of this process is going from building off of your action statement to creating our actual plan and recommendations for the task force based on your committee. So very excited that we're going to be able to spend some time together doing that today. Everyone should have the feedback that you received. So just use that feedback in your time together to refresh and revise your action statements. And then we're asking each committee to submit your final revisions to Anne by early next week. And so I know Anne will get us out a reminder, but we want to have your near final action statement based on your revisions to Zeke and I by next week. Is that correct, Ann? Is that the plan?
Yep, that's the plan.
Okay, let's get moving into these committees. Ann, are we coming back at 6:30 or do we just disconnect at 6? What's the?
Today, we are not going to come back. In the past, we've come back to kind of report out.
Okay.
And some groups are going to get in their group and they're going to be like, we're good. Like, and other groups are going to be like, we want to stay on and keep working. So we are not going to regroup today. We're going to give people the time they need. And when people are done, they can go ahead and close out of their group.
Okay, great, Ann. Thank you for that. We're ready.
All right, I'm going to open the rooms. I think I've got everyone in the right group, but we'll find out. So here we go.
Hey, and it's Jasmine. I was gonna do the decolonizing, depathologizing, and destigmatizing.
Perfect. Let me
work
put
group.
you there then, because I've got you
Got it.
currently in the medical group. So let me just move you right over. Okay, the group that is staying here is the group that is working on policy. So there needs to be one group that is streaming out to the YouTube channel for the public to participate. And so this group, just know that you are streaming. I am going to go pop in with the decolonized group that I normally staff. But if you have questions, let me know. Lydell, I don't know if you're in this group. I think you're in the youth group. So I'll try and get you there. And then Tika, have I got you in the right place?
I think I was going to do healthcare, but again,
I can move you to healthcare then.
okay.
I can go ahead and move you to the healthcare group. So
It's what I do. So I think that's where I'm best suited. But again, if you need me here, I can help.
nope, let's get you moved over to the medical group. Okay, you should be heading there.
Thank you.
All right, for Reha, I'm going to go with the decolonizing group and I'll see you later.
Awesome. Thank you, Ann.
Yep, you bet.
Hi, everyone. How's everyone's day going today?
Great. Hey, Faria. Hey, Dr. Daniels.
Hey,
Deb.
sir.
Hey. I got a upset baby, so I'm gonna be in and out. We're trying to do dinner. But I think this group is in pretty good shape as far as our action statement. So I don't, I mean, there was questions about, do we want to, take the vocabulary down a little bit, but I think genuinely we're in pretty good shape. So I think we've got it.
Thank you for that vote of confidence as always, Zeke. And your baby is so cute. So just to catch everybody up, I can display the action statement that we've been collectively working on for a number of meetings now. We can read through it once. I know there's members of the group here who've been working on this action statement and unfortunately couldn't make it tonight, but we'll definitely make sure to get their input as well. So I can share my screen. We can read over this statement we have so far. We can just take a moment to read over the feedback we've gotten first before I display the statement, and then we can go from there. But I agree with Councilman Cohen that we've been working on it for a number of weeks. It's in great shape so far. We've really taken the time to talk to a lot of different people and get their opinion on it, have been wordsmithing it for a lot of weeks. And it's a really strong statement and one that I believe in. So let me go ahead and share my screen. For folks watching at home, this is a process that all of the committees are taking right now. You are currently in the developing citywide trauma-informed care policy subcommittee. Let me make my screen bigger so everyone can see it. This is the action statement that we're currently workshopping around. And like I said, we're almost done. We're kind of at the final stage. We're just reading it over to make sure it looks good. And most importantly, we're looking at the vocabulary and seeing, is it friendly to a wide variety of audiences? And if there's particular words that are not friendly, how can we make it more friendly to read? So I'll read it and then I'll give you a chance to read it yourself. Here it goes. Our action statement for the policy subcommittee of the Trauma-Informed Care Task Force is lived experiences show and research confirms that apartheid and trauma in Baltimore are caused by and remain unhealed as a result of local, state, and federal policy. Unjust policies such as disinvestment, disenfranchisement, criminalization, hyper-surveillance, and over-enforcement have produced staggering violence, apathy, poverty, abandonment, and instability. The work group will recommend strategies to disrupt and dismantle policies that cause and exacerbate trauma while introducing new policies that stabilize, repair, and heal our most impacted communities. How about we all take a moment just to read through that a couple of times on our own? And then if we have any feedback, particularly around making it more friendly, some people said there's kind of too many big words in here. So read it through and kind of think about that in mind. Okay, everyone, I've read over this statement. By now, I gave everyone a chance to read over it. So how's this sitting with you all? Do you feel like it's good? Do you want to change anything? The floor is all yours.
Can we look at the feedback that we got again?
Yes, absolutely. So this is all the feedback that we got right here. I've highlighted it. Do you want me to read it or do you want to read the screen?
I can see it, thanks. Yeah.
Sure.
The grammar statement here, I guess somebody's gonna have to do some grammar check on our statements anyway, I guess. So the feedback about, the very broad statement, and are we gonna get into specifics? I think that's the next steps, correct? That we would be, going into strategies and be a little bit more specific as to what those policies are going to be in our next phase. So I'm not sure that we need to work on that now, because sometimes if we say a such as for a policy, it may seem like we're excluding others. So I'm comfortable with not having to be very specific about that right now in the action statement.
Yeah, that was going to be mine too, is about the specificity. And I thought the same thing. So we're in agreement with that.
Yep, and I think there's consensus amongst all of us. I think the same thing. I think that this is just our broad action statement, and then we're going to come up with a set of recommendations that we're going to pitch to the larger task force that really dig deeper and provide the specificity that this person is asking for. I'm sure others have that question too, and I just want to let people know we're on it and we're definitely working behind the scenes to make sure our recommendations are really strong And we also invite your input. So if you want to join one of the subcommittees, maybe the policy subcommittee, definitely come and join us. The meetings are all open and we love collaborating with everyone.
I think it's the same is true for the discussion of implementation and enforcement. I think that's later on in our discussions as well. What we tried to do in the action statement was to be broad enough to get the notion of what we're talking about, but naming some of the specific things that we're actually trying to tackle was something that was important to us. So that's why you don't see the level of specificity, the entire statement, but that the initial part where it has, what we think causes the trauma and the apartheid and other places, that is in there because those are the things that we're going to focus on. So I think it's fine kind of the way that it is.
I definitely agree. So I guess I can volunteer to look over the grammatical piece and run through it and make sure the grammatics of the entire statement are okay. Beyond the grammatics and beyond your statement right now, Councilwoman Ramos, about us really putting these other areas of growth into our actual recommendations. I think we've done everything. I think we've actually accomplished all of the feedback that we've gotten. So do we want to read over this statement one more time? I think we're pretty much done.
Yeah, let's read it one more time because I do think that one of the set of feedback for all of the groups was that, we're using sort of not broad, but we're using some of our words could be very colloquial. And so can we break it down a little more, say things in a different way that might be more able to get the word across as to what we're trying to do. I mean, I think all of us in this work and those of us learning the work like me understand what we're trying to say, but I'm always cautious of, using words that, maybe not everybody is familiar with. So that's the only thing that and this was the feedback in every group, I think. So I just wanted to maybe look at it again. And if there's any other ways to sort of break some of this a little bit, like disenfranchisement. I know, that's very broad. I know what we're trying to say. But is there another way to say it?
Are there any other words that are jumping out at folks, or is that the only one? And again, we want this to really get our message across that we recognize these things are an issue, and the Trauma Informed Care Task Force is committed to developing trauma informed care policies, that help basically fix all of these things. But
right.
We want to make sure it's in language that everybody can connect with and understand and, can really get behind.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Other people are on the document.
I can just start Googling synonyms for
right.
and list those, and then we can get feedback from everybody else and go from there.
Yeah, I don't even know if there's a good synonym. That's the other challenge, right?
Yeah, because I feel like this one really powerfully captures what we're talking about. Okay, so I'll highlight it, and if anybody has any suggestions for alternate words to use, definitely let me know. But I think we're in strong shape, and I think this is a great statement that we've been working on for a number of weeks now.
So if you look at the disenfranchisement, it's typically talked about in terms of depriving somebody of the right to vote. And I think what we're trying to say about this is much broader than that. right?
I think so. I think when I think about it from the perspective of a teacher, I'm thinking about it like not even just the right to vote, but the right to self-express themselves. Like sometimes people don't even have the resources to get to a town hall meeting to make their issues known. Like right now in the age of Zoom meetings, you know, like not everybody has access to a laptop to even sign in and let their politicians know how they're feeling about something. So when I think of disenfranchisement, like I think the opposite would be like empowerment and equipping people with the tools and resources and policies that would help them thrive, while also understanding the ones that have historically gotten in the way, including not having the right to vote. But I think for me, it goes a lot deeper than that.
Do we want to say instead of disenfranchisement, because it's very much affiliated with voting, something about disempowerment is not really a good word. But I don't know, I'm just brainstorming here. I'm happy to keep it. I'm just brainstorming.
Now, when
go ahead.
I know I wasn't here for the final. I wasn't here for the final when all of us, I guess, when everybody voted on this one. And I know you're absolutely right, Councilwoman. It deals with the right to vote, but then it deals with being deprived of power, marginalized, all of those things. I guess I would have to wonder, what was the group? Is that what the group was thinking at those thinking about those multiple kind of contexts for it?
It was definitely the broader context.
Okay.
In terms of but then when you just look up the word, it's definitely more affiliated with voting, and we're definitely talking much broader than that.
Now, was other people booted off? Because I was booted off for a minute there.
It's just the three of us right now. We usually have but it's summer and vacations and stuff. How about the word marginalization? Unjust policies such as disinvestment, marginalization, criminalization. Because I think, and I'm happy to go back to the group and this out. Because I think we're talking about broader, just people being marginalized from being able to participate in the system, of giving feedback, etc. But just marginalized in general. So I don't know, just an idea.
I like that, and I listed it. Like you said, I would also love to get feedback from everybody else who helped craft the original statement. So how about we leave both of those words up, and everybody can weigh in, and pick one word, or choose a different word, and we can all kind of vote on which word we like the most. Because I agree with you, marginalization it takes the perspective away just from voting, and it talks more broadly about issues of oppression through policies, through microaggressions, through daily environmental, systemic, individual, cultural factors.
Which is what we were trying to get at, actually.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's kind of the feel that I got from listening to all of us talk about this. It was this issue of, we feel like trauma, we feel like unjust policies have created a whole host of root causes. And we're really hoping to alleviate those root causes, and recommending some strategies to disrupt and dismantle the policies that are directly making it so Baltimoreans cannot thrive, while introducing new policies to help stabilize and heal and repair our most impacted communities. Welcome back,
Right.
everybody.
So why don't we maybe through the WhatsApp, see what people think about the word. I think that's the only one that I kept thinking about after all of our, I was like, I don't know. It's just, so I'm glad for the opportunity to at least discuss it.
Same here. Thank you very much. So everyone, it is 6:31. That is officially the end of our work time. If anybody wants to chat more about the policy subcommittee or the trauma-informed care task force, I'll definitely stay on to help answer any questions. But the meeting is adjourned, so you're free to go. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for helping us out on this.
Thank you for your work, Councilwoman.
All right, we'll see you soon. Take care.